Okay, let's see. 6:30 p.m. on the Tuesday, so Tactical Tuesday's in about 3 hours, but this is next week's mission. So the mission you will be playing tonight in the land of when this video was made, completely different from the one that I'm currently working on. And you kind of want to be a week and a half ahead of things. Um, but in any case, we are going to now start with I had a bit of a think about what's going to happen over here, and there might be some. It's going to depend on a lot of testing. So if ghouls work here, that'll do. If I can get super mutants going. If I want to do a super mutant faction, though, that's going to be like a big thing that I'm going to have to do right now, which, good enough to record and all of that, but I'll get to that point when I get to that point. First, we need to do some basics. The only things that I've changed between the last video and this video is I did some more sorting. The valleys there. We've got the rock slide in its own little group here, and that looks a little better. That rock is definitely a bit out of place, but the rest of them almost blend. They blend enough. You're not supposed to be going this way in the first place, so if players complain, I'll just tell them. There's a rocks falling sign right here. Hold on, I'm on the wrong side though. Shoot. Hold on. Okay, now I gotta figure out how to get that sign over on the other end, because that would be just funny if one of those was, right here. And as soon as it... Ah, crap. Okay, hold on. Nah, I gotta do the joke here. I already put a gnome back here in case they manage to climb over the rock wall as a, hey, maybe you shouldn't be back here. Oh, I should also put a banana in front of the gnome. Yeah, let's do that just to weird out the players if they do decide to come this way. And just have that banana floating above the gnome. Yeah, just make it obvious they're not supposed to be here. In that, silly way that's like, okay, good job, you climbed over, you found the banana gnome. Time to leave. Shoot. Okay, what kind of sign is this called? This a landslide sign? Signs, flag of the Horizon Islands. Oh, land. Nope. Folded flag. Yeah, memorial wreaths. Okay. It's a sign, right? Not an aftermath. Is there a marker, billboards, user-defined textures? Craters? Shell crater. Where's the word sign in any of that? Bunch of flags. Tobacco ad? Is that the... Oh. Okay, gotcha. Where is that a part of? What is this? Land AIF. Pop concert. Okay, here's a tip. Put in class and then land AIF, and then you'll get all of the things that not... So if you're just searching normally, and I type in car ad, I would get car ad, but I wanted to find everything that's part of this mod pack, which looks to be land underscore AIF. So class colon land AIF. And that's kind of nuts. School closed. Oh, that's quite literally just a school that is closed. Cereal box, I imagine. Oh, is this... Okay, land IIF looks like that's the assets from Petcher, I think? Biotech factory. No? Dihydrogen monoxide researching. Okay, that's kind of funny. Oh, it's a reskin of the hotel as a like biotech thing. That's kind of interesting. Is there anything better, or okay? No, it's just kind of got the insides that look a little more industrial. Weird. Land AIF Watchtower Cubicle. I think that's all on Petcher, so probably not here. This map is called Vida. You know, let's just see if there is a class Vida. There is not a class Vida. And yeah, there's a lot of New Vegas, so with just class V, I'm finding a lot of the New Vegas things. Vault of the Future ad. Oh, that's a tiny little poster. Yeah, would be nice. Okay. Let's see. Road signs. Land pro. Let's just do. Let's see if road signs gives me more road signs. Okay, well, we got roads from CUP. Signs, graffiti. Now, if I'm not mistaken, what are these actually called? Shoot, there's a game design term for like a little patch you put on top of things. So if you just, you know, want the roads looking more cracked, you can do that, and it's mostly... What the hell are any of these? Road signs, 1940. Oh, 1944. Gotcha. These is from, yeah, Iron Front. So there's a lot of old-timey aerodrome back before we invented the word airport. Patrol outpost. Okay, come on. Huh. That's what, the North Star there? What Anzac is that? Road signs, CUP. Cow hazard, children crossing. Is one of these downhill sign? Oop. Yeah, 12% grade. That one's got the 11% grade. So this is close. Okay, let's check the CUP signs then. Okay, we got a bunch of these. Interesting. CUP underscore sign gives us all these guideposts too. Oh, land KPFS. What is KPFS? And are any of these guideposts what we're looking for? Lindsberg. I don't think so. Place name Klein Egg. Klein Egg, Seltzberg, Hindel. Wait, is this Klein 7, Vingelsvegen? Maybe? What's this nearby? Scrivemo. If there's like a Scrivemo here. Pound sign. Sac. I don't think so. Oh boy, there's a lot more of these than I thought. And they don't have previews, but I guess that's fine. Okay, helipads, road signs. Here we go. Now we're actually on to the CUP road signs. Danger, dangerous road, deer. I just like the... It's just a exclamation mark. Danger. We're not going to tell you what it is, but here it is. Bad roadside. Okay. Arrow markers. Accommodation. We already got the downhill sign. Downhill sign new. Okay, so make sure we got the new. Food, fuel, height limit. This is perhaps too much. And no, like... I doubt you're even gonna come see this, but I'm gonna look for it just cause. Like falling rocks? Would that not be falling stone sign? Here it is. I'm an idiot. Okay. That's not as okay, hold on. Falling stones. New and falling stones like that. Oh. Wow, that's so rusted over you can't even read it. Okay, that's just a much worse version than that. Like that, you can kind of, I don't know. It's got to be in here somewhere, right? Maybe not under CUP, but okay, we've got the falling. I got something just in case. Port sign, snow chain, speed limit, stopping prohibited, uphill sign. Is that the same as that? Oh, downhill, uphill. Gotcha. It is essentially the same thing, but there it is. Wait. Warning rocks sign. Okay. Is that the same though? I don't think it might be. It is the same design, but okay, we'll use this. What in the world? Better. I'll take it. No, good enough. Okay, so I'm almost kind of wondering if this is an 11-point grade, but it would be kind of funny to just plop the sign in the middle of the road, but I was going to put it down here at about where you can see that. Okay, now you've got this sign here, and you got, you know, vertical mode and surface snapping. Make it vertical, turn those off, hit that translation widget, and now you can kind of plant it in the ground there. And you know what, in case they don't see that one and they get like right up to the edge of this rock, I'm going to put another one here just to be cheeky about it. Just right in the middle of the road, like, you should understand that this is not a thing. Like, hopefully you stop back there, and then, you know, there's this little path that you can get out, walk past the trees and go, yep, that's a rock in the way, and then notice this tiny little gap here. Oh, that could have been bad. Alright, let's get a rock. See, this is how you screw everything up. Had I not noticed this, there would definitely be some player going in here to... Oh, right, let's do this so that it kind of... Okay, and that is harder to get by. There we go. Okay, let's just look at all these other little seams and make sure that... Okay, I think we're good. So there's a cheeky sign right in the middle that's like, hey, rocks fall. Okay, that's stone, that banana, great. All of that goes into the rock slide area, and now we have locked those in. The lines are broken, so I guess you could touch it if you needed to. Okay, that was a heavy distraction, but at least that little area is funnier, I guess, now. Okay, so first thing you want to do for pretty much everything is go up here into Attributes, hit General, and start typing things in. This is Fallout Hyperborea, episode 04. Open all of these up, make sure binarize is unchecked for now. If you've got a really huge mission, maybe binarize it, but like have a copy that isn't binarized just in case. Okay. Show map, so if, reminder, I think these are all for, so you go to role selection first, and then after role selection, there's like that map screen. It's kind of a lobby waiting area, and then you go into the mission. I think all of these states are for, right before the mission. So if you don't want them to have the map until they're actually in the game, you can unclick that. Compass, etc. I'll take GPS off because this is the Fallout universe and you don't have a GPS. Enable saving should be off, but I'll get into that later. But very important, the most important thing in here is make sure that the debug console is available for the host or logged in admin. Absolutely do this. If you have it only available in the editor, once you get to game time, and you log in as admin, you don't get the console, and that console is very useful. Allows you to do debugging in the middle of the mission instead of, so make sure that the debug console is enabled for the host or a logged in admin. The rest of this is like you don't even need to do this. Um, I have always had this checked and it's never stopped anyone, so don't worry about it. I think this overview text in the scenario menu. Okay, I don't think any of these are going to the scenario menu. Overview, loading screen. Yeah, you can do those, the optional. Play around with those if you want to. Only thing you really need is the debug console. There's an init here and the independence allegiance. This is going to start out as a peaceful mission, so I'm going to keep them all cooperative. And then as soon as you're done with that, immediately go into the multiplayer. Go ahead and set your game type. I think I've been doing 16 slots here. Summary. This is that summary needs to be better. Disable the AI because you don't want AI joining in on that. Respawn. Okay, the respawn that I use is respawn on a custom position. Show the respawn counter and select respawn position. The rest of this doesn't really matter. Because in a bit we're gonna play around with the description.ext and I'll show how you can change these around. I don't usually put tasks. I let the players figure out what they're supposed to do, and I have more sandboxy missions, but if you do have a mission that's specifically like, hey, I need you to go here specifically on the map, make sure your shared objectives are enabled with task propagation, so the leader of the group, whoever's butt you're touching, gets to decide who, like, we're doing this objective now, and it'll turn orange for everyone else, so do that. And revive mode you don't need to touch if you're using Ace, and respawn, the rest of that you don't need to touch while you're using Ace. This summary goes, when you're on the role selection menu, there's a little thing in the corner, so I like to put some pithy comment here. I'll probably decide on a better bit later on. I don't know, find a way to say something funnier than chasing some dude. Okay, that's good. Alright, all of that is saved. And that is your basic attributes. Alright, garbage collection. If you're doing a big wave-based thing with a whole lot of corpses, consider using garbage collection. You can also just kind of delete things as a Zeus. You gotta play with these on your own. Dynamic simulation, maybe. These are things you can get more into, but they are optional. And I don't think with your default settings, I think you're okay. Minimum distance. Yeah, you could probably put that at like 500 or something if you want corpses nearby not to go away, but your mileage is going to vary on that. Take a look at what kind of mission you're making and whether or not it's okay if corpses are sinking back into the dirt. Like, if you're giving them a full arsenal and they can reacquire their equipment at any time, then yeah, sure, you're probably going to want to put a very aggressive garbage collection just to keep corpses out of the way and, clean things up. But in a mission where looting is really important, I've had to, like, de-escalate the garbage collection. Last but not least is environments, but you can also just click on this Intel button and get the same menu, so a little bit of overlay there. These dates only, so this is Fallout, so I'm gonna have to set these programmatically because they only go to 2050, but keep in mind that if you are doing a night mission, unless you are giving them other lighting options, avoid this moon symbol that is a little bit darker, and try to put your missions on the moon symbol that is lighter. This is a full moon, and this allows you to actually, like, see at night. That is 10 p.m.? Let me check. Where is Vita located? Oh, Vita's located a little bit south of Svalbard. Okay. So here's the other fun thing about Arma. It actually takes into account latitude and longitude. So May of... yeah, let's see. I would say, isn't like summer? Yeah, look at that. Full sunshine for all 24 hours. I think if I... Yeah, this is... Okay, this map is actually so far north that you can set it to be daylight 24 hours. Which is kind of interesting. Okay, November is... What in the world is going on here? I'm getting nothing but sunshine. Okay, January, here we go. Now, this is supposedly all at night. Oh boy, it's like all at sunset, isn't it? Man, okay, this is going to get annoying because now I got to figure out what time of day I want it, and then I'd actually make that time of day work. Because this is midnight on a Wednesday in May. Yeah, northern latitude. Okay, so hold on. Extreme northern latitude in the middle of winter. So maybe if I set it to like February, it'll be dark. There we go. Okay, so yeah. Clicking the OK button actually sets it, but this little icon here tells you when the sun should be up. So this should be sunrise, high noon, or as high noon as it gets in the extreme northern atmosphere. And then, okay, so it's dark, but the moon is full, so you're not going to get the best amount of detail. And there's also lights over there, but like, let's just say you're out in the mountains, you can still kind of see where you're going, right? If we were to go over to here, set that to new moon, can't see shit. And unless you're giving your players really good night vision, and I mean really good night vision, like super futuristic, because actual night vision also uses the ambient light too, and I think this is Zeus night vision, which is your best night vision. So yeah, make sure you're keeping that in mind if you are designing night missions and don't want to annoy people too much. Although, you know me, I like my super night missions with someone on flare duty and the grenadiers doing things, and only you know me. A well-designed night mission is my jam. Oh, and they even got the airport lights that turn on here. Okay. I don't think I want to do this mission at night, so I need to actually, like, choose a good time for the... Oh, I need to choose a good time for this, but I need to do it in the Fallout thing. Also, the other thing about this menu, so I gave you the hints about the moon if you're designing night missions. Probably stick to day missions. They're easy enough to do. Okay. So my defaults, just whenever I open things up, I like to put it on, what is this, 51% forecast with, I think I put rain on, like light rain, because then you get rainbows, and it's just, I don't know why I put that on default, but yeah. Sun shower, which is to say overcast as low as it goes. I think below 50% overcast, you don't get any rain even if you set it to 100%. And that rainbow is still there. Neat. Yeah, but the 51% overcast and then some amount of rain, maybe not full rain, but some amount of rain, will more often than not give you a rainbow, and that's nice. But yeah, play around with this. So overcast start and overcast forecast and the time of changes. So basically, when the mission starts, everything on the start value is going to be used. So fog start, overcast start, rain start. If I put the rain start to 0, then when the mission starts, it'll have 0 rain. But time of changes, 30 minutes. After 30 minutes of the mission playing through, you will get whatever the forecast value is. So if overcast start is 0, and then, yeah, rain forecast. Is there a way to put the time to changes to like 1 minute? No, I think 30 is the lowest, because it does have to kind of, the clouds have to come in slowly, and that's, I bet you could make that shorter if you wanted to, in like a script somewhere, but you don't need to worry about that. Lightning, waves, winds. I don't think you have to worry about any of this. Wind only really comes into play if you've got the advanced flight mechanics on, which is sometimes fun if you know what you're doing, but I typically keep those off because Yeah, we got enough problems as it is. Waves only matter if you're on the boats, and I definitely turned these up to like 80% when we were doing the pirate thing. So that's always kind of fun. Lightning is... I think you can... I'm trying to remember what like the stormy settings are, but you can turn that way the fuck up if you need to. But yeah, I think storm only comes into... wait, I need to set not the forecast, but the overcast start. Also, for those night missions, keep in mind that overcast does affect the... Let me go back to the night mission really quickly. Whoa. Alright. Do keep in mind that overcast does affect ambient light, so as you notice, a 12% forecast, you can basically see everything. Really nice, bright night. Overcast 80, a little bit harder. Not impossible, but you're definitely getting rid of some of that finer detail in a lot of the light, so... All of these things matter, including the latitude and longitude of the map, and the only really easy way of getting that is to hit new, select the terrain you're using, and then see where this little dot is. So Takistan is somewhere in the sort of Iran-Afghanistan border. Tanoa is South Pacific, I'll go ahead and say. Interesting, I kind of put it closer to Vietnam for that other campaign, but... United Sahrani is apparently in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Utez is over there. In the middle of the Black Sea? Interesting. Let me actually check if Altus is where it's supposed to be. Actually, they put Altus way far to the west of where it's supposed to be. Like, same latitude, or same longitude, I think, but the latitude's different. Because I could have sworn it was closer. It was like between Greece and Turkey, so that's actually a little bit off from what I remember. But this is Altus, not the actual Lemnos or whatever the island it is, so, you know, you can have a change there. Blood Gulch is apparently in the middle of... That's the Afghanistan, that's the same place as Takistan. Weird. Bistrika, so yeah. Keep in mind those, especially if you're using something like Arctic High... What? Okay, I thought Arctic Highlands was over in... Oh, wait, that's Dillingham County, Alaska. And even that's not where it's supposed to be. Man, map makers need to put their shit back together. Anyway. Yeah, where is Tel Vivara? Yeah, Tel Vivara was kind of up there. And this particular mission is even further north, so... yeah, keep all of that in mind, because the environment that you're setting everything up in is pretty important. But generally speaking, no one's gonna complain if you've got overcast. And I gotta remember how fog works exactly, because the decay values are kind of iffy, and the play around with those. But remember that fog is clouds close to the ground, so. I think this is your base at sea level, so that's about 100 meters above sea level, and that's negative 500. If you turn everything down, though, no one's going to complain, because there's nothing to complain about. And then manual override on everything and turn it off, and there is a wind start, wind forecast, and that will mean that you just have a nice, plain mission at day with no other... Yeah, this is your boring settings, but they work. The only thing you might have to futz around with is... Yeah, let's put this like to July? Huh. Okay, that's brighter. Why did the sun go away, though? Where is that icon supposed to be? Like, yeah, this is supposed to tell you how long the sun is up, so... Sunrise is at approximately 6 a.m. and sunset is at approximately 5:40, but, Huh. Wait, why did the fog come? Okay, gotcha. It's just randomizing as it goes around, but then it gets the manual overrides after you hit OK. That's fine. Yeah, let's just do July, high noon. 9 times out of 10, unless you're in the southern hemisphere, that should work out for you. And then pick a full moon day just to be extra cheeky about it. And look, it's nice, bright, and sunny, and you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, so we've gone over the basic attributes that you need to put in. Okay, so now that we've defined some of those basic attributes, we're gonna have to define the rest of the basic attributes. And you will need to go into your Windows Explorer or local equivalent, find in your documents your other profiles, your name, and then MP missions. You should save any multiplayer scenarios into MP missions. I think you can save things into missions, but just save it in MP missions because, you know, these are your multiplayer missions you are designing for multiplayer. Let's stick with that. I don't think there's any real difference between it. And you should only have at this time a mission.sqm. You are going to have to manually add things in here. And I am actually going to go into episode 2.5 and just kind of grab everything but the mission SQM and load that into here and just kind of change it as I go. Okay, but important things that you're going to have to make on your own. Number one is the description.ext. Everything else is probably going to be an SQF file. Yeah, unless you're using OGGs or PAAs or whatever. But your description.ext, it probably should, you know what, let me go ahead and open this up in Atom, which is my basic, your easy coding IED of choice. No, it's fancy notepad. So this fancy notepad allows you to actually access all of you got a little file browser over here. Description.ext. So, you can ignore this part. This is required. There was an earlier version of the Arsenal system that I've used, the Jack Shacks, that required me to pre-init the what is it? The init arsenal.sqf, which is just a list of everything that goes into the arsenals, just so that it would be available for me in the editor. But I'm actually starting to define things in the code instead of in the editor, so I don't really need that pre-init anymore. Feel free to ignore this. In here is where you can put a lot of extra things. So respawn delay on 20 seconds, respawn on start is for 1, join unassigned is 0. I can't remember exactly what that does, but you know, most of these you can just read the 10, how many seconds it takes before you respawn. When you start the mission, do you start in the position where your playable characters are? We'll get to playable seconds. Disabled AI, just make sure it's disabled. Briefing and debriefing, because a couple of missions, I'm not sure what I did or what I clicked on, but they just immediately started and didn't go to that little map briefing, so I make sure that these are turned on. And this is why we didn't set these values in the multiplayer attributes, because we are setting those in the code and we don't need to worry about these here. We just want to make sure that the respawn positions that we're going to have to define inside of the editor are already set. Let's see, is there anything important in here that we need to go over? I don't think so. On player respawn, don't use this code. There's a better version of this that I can look at for later, but for right now I'm making the Fallout mission, and this is what I have. On player respawn.sqf is something that you need to add yourself in there, but it does what it says. On player respawn, it'll do this code. And right now, this code is removing everything you had on you, because when you respawn, there's a weird disconnect between... and if you've done this kind of on your own, you've probably noticed this, or if you've made a respawn mission, sometimes you respawn with what you died with, sometimes you respawn with your default loadout. I have this little respawn script that just gets rid of everything on you, clears all your items, clears your backpacks, get rid of them, and then this gives you a bunch of items that you have saved in your profile namespace, and that comes from the Hyperborea Arsenal. This gets into the save system, so don't worry too much about this. At some point, and probably in a later tutorial, I'm gonna throw a easier on-player respawn that just takes what you had, or an earlier version of this code that didn't have the entire Fallout Hyperborea save system on top of it, was just go to the arsenal, click the button to save there, or what was that called? Yeah, I had a different arsenal, and I don't think it's actually in here, but it had a, like, save your current loadout as the respawn loadout. And this used to be a lot easier, but I've had to add the specific Hyperborea loadout so that you're not duplicating items, and then here's an anti-cheat system to make sure. Right now, all the anti-cheat system does is just give you a hint that says, I see you sinning, and then throw that, and it gives you the string of whatever you've duplicated away. Hopefully, I haven't tested it too hard, but if I were much more mean about things, I would like, delete everything on you. But again, I don't want the anti-cheat to go haywire and start deleting things, so don't worry about any of that. There are easier ways of doing it, and it involves basically putting a little bit of code into your on-player respawn that says, hey, grab the profile namespace is kind of your mid-range technique, and it's a great way of saving data on the client's computer so that the server doesn't need to work with it, and unless your players are super programming savvy, they're not going to change any of that. But yeah, just if you really need this respawn code, bother me if I haven't made that tutorial yet. But for the purposes of this, I'm just kind of taking the last bit of code that I've used. Oh, and your init.sqf is something that you're probably going to want to use, because this is where the mission kind of starts. At least for me. For most Zeuses, they just put shit on the map and then they're good. They just Zeus their way through it. Here's where most of this magic happens, and as you can see, I've got the bridges defined from the last map, and I think I'm just going to delete all of this. Yeah, these are all the flare mission scripts, so we're just going to get rid of all of this except what I need. So, oh no, hold on, Rope Boy needs to stay in there because I still have that code that allows you to grab climbing equipment. So all of these includes are just the other scripts in here, so, if I need to change the AI director, I don't want to... You can put everything into the init.sqf, I wouldn't. I would put these little include statements and then, sort out your mods by here's all the dumb shit, here's where the PP smacking code goes, and all the fortune cookie text, the database of plates that go, this is the function that allows for the tripping to occur. You can see all the chromatic aberration and radial blur. But yeah, function definitions, you don't necessarily need to get into that just yet. I'm just, going over the code that I'm putting in here, but it probably doesn't work for you there. Right. Do I want to keep in the hard-based BMP? You know what? I think we'll see. This Tuesday, I'm going to see if they want to keep it. But for now, we're going to go ahead and delete that. So, all right, right now, this code, can turn base off there. Okay, enable saving is false. I think we've got that in the description.e. No, we don't. Oh well, it goes in the init. It works too. That just makes sure that this is a multiplayer game. You can't save it anyway, and I just want to make sure no one accidentally hits that button. And I think some other code that I used to use necessarily needed that to happen, so I just kind of kept it in there all the way. Okay, and this just gives the two cars random license plates and makes the drug vase. So let's actually save that really quickly, go back into the mission, and actually start with the respawn areas. So here is where I've decided the mission is going to start. Save the game, and then I'm just going to open a previous save, probably this one, and we'll see if the rest of the vehicles still exist. Oh, what do I need to do about the helicopter? Right, because you guys, assuming you don't lose it this week, you still have your vertibird there, so I need to figure out exactly how to do vertibird things. Script init arsenal.sqf not found. Did I accidentally cut that code? Or did I copy it? That's 2.5. No, I copied it. Init arsenal. Well, it should be in there. Don't worry too much about that. Okay. So going into this previous mission where I've got everything in this nice little corner here, and this is mission 4, so I'm gonna have to add a snowman. Wendigo Company is great. We are going to copy that and then open up mission 4. Yeah, we don't need to save any of those changes. Head on back. Yes, you can copy and paste between missions. And I would heavily... Init Arsenal should be in there. And I would heavily recommend that you do so. Okay, that's there. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put you over here. Like that. Okay, so... When you put down people... here is, so make sure that for every slot you want to have available, and have, 16. I'm trying to think of how many people we've got in Tactical Tuesdays these days, but it has never gone over 12. So 16 is currently my, worst case scenario. Ace gives you a cool thing where you can change the role description. So when you start up a multiplayer, and you can just hit play, start multiplayer. When you get this role assignment screen, you can actually change what this says over here. So currently it states Wendigo Company, and you have a bunch of Ranger slots. Even though the unit that I have put down is a survivor. It is just B_survivor_F, which, if I'm not mistaken, is... Yeah, NATO Min Survivor is... Yeah, B... So I'm actually using these... What in the world is he wearing? Okay, mods do weird things when... I think they're supposed to have randomized headwear or eyewear or what have you. But I've just gone in here and edited the loadout with the Ace Arsenal to just give them this NCR uniform. Remember that in the other code that I had here, on player... So first in the description... You respawn on start, and then there's an on-player respawn code, which gets rid of everything. So even if they spawned as these B survivors, they would be stripped of all of that and then given something else. And in particular, this code has a bunch of defaults. So you see player, add vest, profile namespace, get variable saved vest. So the profile namespace is just... on the client's machine, on the profile of the client that is connecting, get a variable within that namespace, and I have named it saved vest. I probably should put like Hyperborea saved vest, because remember, every mission that anyone has ever made in Arma can save onto your profile namespace. So, I would even go so far to say like, maybe Fallout Hyperborea Terminal Hunter saved vest. So like there's absolutely no overlap, and if someone goes into, say, like I'm trying to think, if they go into some other multiplayer game that has a save component to it, that might, save a vest and call it saved_vest. So keep in mind that everybody's got options to this. I think there's also I'm trying to remember all the namespaces. I know there is a mission namespace, which if you just want, and I think I do that on I have to go back, but the mission namespace is where I save things like if the player has picked up their paycheck. So, player picked up paycheck starts at 0, and then when you go to the mailbox and get it, then that is ticked to 1, and that only lasts for the mission, or that one session of the mission. So that gets deleted every time. So, and you know what? I should probably have introduced this concept a lot earlier, but let's open up a new browser window, and if you just go into Google and search like, Arma namespace, or pretty much anything that's got that, you will hit community.bistudio.com. This is the BIKI, the Bohemia Interactive Wiki, so BIKI. And this is the documentation that allows you to script. Just, Google it, and as long as you got a Bohemia community.bistudio.com, you will... And look, there's the mission namespace, parsing namespace, UI namespace, interesting, attached to your user interface, current namespace, a local namespace, and the profile namespace, which is what I'm using a whole bunch of. And you can even click into there and get a whole bunch of descriptions, examples, how to use all this code. All great, very useful. Use this as much as you can when scripting. And this is kind of like how you can figure out new things too, because there's also, see also, like save profile namespace, where stores all variable to the active profile. Heliport status is this? Okay. There's more to this, but usually just the profile namespace is all you need to set those variables to. At least it's been working with me, at least. Yeah, in any case, though, so this is probably the most useful thing ever. Make sure to reference that whenever you can. Okay, where do I want to put the snowmen? Because we do have snow here, and that's kind of one of the... let's see, people haven't been noticing them, so I kind of want to make them more noticeable. I also just kind of want to put them next to this tunnel. Yeah, you know what, screw it. We're just going to put them in line at the tunnel. I don't know why, but here they are. There are 4, they're in line, they're at the tunnel. Okay, Noto's Donnie is in here, and I think he kept his... I thought I gave... How did I give it? Oh, right. I have to go in here. I have to change this Alpha 1-1 into some asshole junkie. I think the call sign should also... I can't remember which one of these you do, and I think it's just the call sign. Yeah, you can't put spaces in the variable name, so never mind. That's the group. Okay, so some asshole junkie. That means if you start up the game... Oh, and get rid of the box of explosives. That's just for the last one. Okay, this respawn position is the FOB. Okay, the Jack Shacks are there. Player inventory is there. Okay. Hopefully this doesn't... Usually I do a check of everything before I start just running the mission willy-nilly, but there might be a bunch of code that isn't working here, and that's just fine. Because I just kind of copied and pasted the code in here, but some of this should work. Some of it. I kind of love the messages on the loading screens when silly people make maps. Okay, yeah, see, this is... Secret, add action, undefined variable. I have not put down the secret radio, so it's gonna throw a bunch of errors. That's fine. I am just checking if... Okay, good. So the map is here. There's still a bunch of... we will change this later. Because I did kind of want the map to not be available here, so I'll do that just in a second. But we're ready to respawn. We have respawned. It is... Oh, right. I think there's something in the init code that... Oh, no. I'm loading story.sqf, and currently story is setting the date to 3:40 a.m. Okay, so... Set date is also useful. Great thing to put in the init if you want to, say, make the year sometime past 2050. And I think this also gives you it gives you finer tuned controls if you don't want to, you know, click and drag that dragging bar. So let's just go ahead and delete these. Story text is a function that I use to actually, like, there isn't a wife, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. The rest of that's commented out, so that should work now. But one thing I did want to test is to make sure that, yes, private Noto's Donnie, some asshole junkie. Just as a fun little thing there to make sure that he is labeled appropriately. Okay, that is got the toolkits and entrenching tools, which means the save system is currently working, but we're not on the server right now, so it doesn't have all your items in there. That's there, and it has not been turned on because I got rid of the base scripts. Okay, cool. This is a really squishy area, and I guess we'll just keep it that way. Okay, so far so working. Yeah, some pithy comments up here, mission, map. Okay, so that has happened. I think the other thing that I want to do is under the Wendigo Company, and that's good that I think I accidentally copied the entire layer, but you know what? Copying the entire layer is fine, because now I've got all of these around here. And we can lock it whenever we want to, so not the worst idea. Okay, Alpha 11, we're just gonna name that Wendigo Company, because I think that call sign is what appears under the name. So I think everybody here is labeled as a sergeant. Yeah, so it will have the sergeant, you know, terminal hunter, or whoever currently has that slot, and then under it it'll say Wendigo Company. Or, you know, we could just put drunk belligerent, and that, you know, you can put anything in there. Okay, let's see. So I've put down the basics here, and we've got the missions set up so that the respawn system works as intended. When you put down a respawn position, make sure the side isn't leading side. Make sure it is blue 4 or op 4 or independent or civilian or whatever your players are, because you can go into independent and say set this grenadier to attributes playable, and if you do that, you can see in multiplayer that now there's an independent side and there's that grenadier we just put down. So yeah, make sure that is the case. What else? Right, and the respawns are going to be it depends on that. And so if you, for whatever reason you have, you know, some players is independent, some players is blue 4, you might need to put down 2 spawns right next to each other if you want them to be able to spawn at the same place. The name is what shows up on the map, as you saw earlier when we were testing. And you can also set respawns to unlock on triggers. That can be for later, though. Alright, next, for just your basic mission starts, under systems, I think systems diary, where is this? Create diary record. If you just type in diary, you'll probably find it. Intel. So systems, modules, Intel, create diary record. This is how you type things into when you start multiplayer. Hit OK. Once you get to the map screen, which should be after this loading screen, whenever we get around to that. Whenever we get around to that. Running OBS is probably not the worst. Man, we're already an hour into this, and I'm just barely getting past the beginnings. Okay, up here in the briefing is where that diary record goes, at least how I've got it configured. I think there are other things you can put in there. Like I think there would be other, like you could put a secondary thing under briefing. Let me actually open this up and see what I've got written in there. Preset title. Okay, you can change it, but yeah, there's mission, execution. You can have a bunch of these if you want, so let's just put a second one there, get rid of that, and say execution, and LOL, boy. Owner, all playable units, subject. Okay, gotcha. So if you want to put this in its own, let's just call it its own section. Save that, play in multiplayer. So if you want to make your map starts, and it's a little, not every person who plays Arma 3 knows to click on the briefing and see if there's anything in there. Thrawn's pretty good about it. A bunch of people get drunk and forget about it though, so yeah, I'm trying to remember. Thrawn is usually really good about reading the mission briefings. I think Buttery's decent at it because he plays his other things. Deadpool, I'm pretty sure you're the one listening to this, so you can tell your own. So, like, see, here's its own section, execution, little boy. I just keep it in briefing. I mean, I bet you can put, like, a click here, stupid, if you really need to, but, you know, do that as you will. Also, the text that goes in there is HTML. So if you notice, I've got 2 line breaks here, BR / encased in a less than and greater than. That gives you your new lines there. If you don't have those line breaks in there, let's just get rid of the line breaks. If you don't have the line breaks in there, even if you do, oops, you have to press Shift Enter to actually do enters in here. So Shift Enter, even if you've got these huge spots there, so like sunrise is in 2 hours, sometimes after 5, should come after that break, but it's HTML, so it just kind of reads it straight, and you'll see that this is all going on the same line and there aren't any line breaks. Of course, after this loading screen. Boom, ba-da, doom, doom, boo-da-doo. Yeah, these tutorials could be a little bit more streamlined, but I can do better streamlined tutorials later. And in the briefing, it's all on one line, so make sure you know some basic HTML, or at least the line break thing that I just showed you. And you will be able to figure that out. Or, you know, put together something that makes a little bit of sense. Okay, so he gave us the slip. Our 2 Brotherhood hostages have gone missing. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of a funny here, and I just had an idea. How long after? We're gonna say it's about 4 days after the previous mission, and we're gonna set it to noon. Just so the implication is, oh man, in the middle of the night the guys got away. Everyone looks at their watch. It's noon. Did we all sleep in? We'll see if anybody notices that, but that gives us a nice daytime to do this in as well. And let me make sure I actually saved that. I did. Okay. Have gone missing during the night. They must have freed themselves from their restraints and taken off. Then BR / like that. 1 will give you a new line, and a second one will skip a line, so it makes it a little bit more formatted. In fact, usually when I make websites, I do something like that, so it actually looks like it's on a new line, kinda, and will show up as such. But yeah, let's see. The preset title doesn't matter if you type in its own title, and that will just be in the briefing, which is fine. Let's see. Our 2 Brotherhood hostages have gone missing during the night. They must have freed themselves from the restraints and taken off. We are currently flying blind, but we've traveled south. Put the outline work in progress to do. I can write a better diary record later, but basically, there is no map to go with, and because the previous mission had a map, I need to select all of these survivors, go into their ace arsenals, and get rid of their maps. So you need to get rid of their inventory maps, because they will, that first respawn screen after the briefing stage will have a map there if they spawned with it. So take away the actual map in their inventory. I need to do a specific on-player respawn. Do not give them a map, and then go into the arsenal and take away item map. So now the only place they will get a map is somewhere that we have specified for them in the mission itself. And I think if we go into multiplayer, so now we're going to load this up, and in the briefing everything should be black. Because they do not have a map, they can't reference any of that. And once they get into town, and probably when they get to the toll booth, maybe after they do the favor for the town at the toll booth area, they will be given a map, and there'll be like a nice red area that says, you know, don't go here. But see, no map. No map on this respawn either. The FOB will be there, so wait for the respawn to happen, and then we will also confirm that after respawn we do not spawn with a map. And then hell, we'll even check the arsenal and make sure there isn't a map there either, just because that is going to be part of this particular mission. There is no map. The mission is starting out at noon, which is funny. I even want to put we just woke up. It is Friday the 20th, and everyone remembers that we started this campaign in March, and it is now April. They'll get a laugh because it's 420. The last mission was on the 16th because that was a full moon, so because this is going to be a daytime mission, I can put it on 420. Here's the rope. Here's oh, that secret radio actually did make it. Okay, I need to delete that. There's the calorical, there's Private Noto's Johnny, some asshole junkie. Right, and I was going to check that. I do not have a map, and in the Jack Shack arsenal, there is no map for me to get, so there's no way to get a map regardless. Alright, cool. We have taken away the map there. Okay. So that diary record is not quite set, but, you know, it's there to do. Okay, that is the beginning and your basic assets. Let's not put that on the rocks just in case. Make sure that these don't explode. I got surface snapping on, so make sure they actually just go to the surface. I don't think we'll need this fire barrel. We can get rid of that. We need to get rid of that radio. That's apparently... Oh, I did forget to untoggle those surface snappings when things happen. And the good news is we're on flat ground here, right? Yeah, this is perfectly flat ground, so I don't have to mess with the rug and make sure that it actually conforms to anything. Okay, the jack shats have a bunch of extra code on them. Like, I used to put a whole bunch of nonsense in the init, but I've got all of that in right, the code here. The init file now says Jack Shack 1, make it a Hyperborea arsenal, and all of that is in the make Hyperborea arsenal. So all of that nonsense that used to go in there, because like as soon as I was like, okay, I gotta put on the blue light filter, or the, what is it, the blue snowy filter, and we've got you need to be able to toggle on whether or not you want auto-saving to be a thing, etc., etc. So a lot of things went on there, and I decided to make it its own little code batch there. Okay, I think that is the beginnings here. So this is, you are able to spawn in, you've got the arsenals there, you've got the bank there, so that should be all you need with the briefings and what have you. Oh, respawn position should be under systems module multiplayer. Yes, so those modules you can grab from there. Okay, yeah, other than that, the next step will be working on just kind of the first bit of this mission. Because I think this is all we need to do when it comes to... I'm sure I'll think of something later on, but this is pretty much how you set up the initial start. Put down some people, maybe ask me, or we'll... eventually I'll have a easier bit of code for respawns, because that is kind of one of those stumbling blocks when you're first making missions, is that's weird. Players are respawning with a default loadout or not the thing I set for them in their arsenal or any number of other things. So how did I used to do the... I think there's like an on-player death you can save their loadout. I think the easiest thing to do is like on-player loadout, save something to their profile namespace, like just a loadout basically. So profile namespace. Where do I save their loadout? Does it say? Oh yeah, it's on save loadout because it was complicated enough that I wanted to put it on its own thing. But yeah, I put in the profile namespace, I just set the variable saved vest, and I take the vest of the player. This is when you are manually or auto saving your loadout, and then it gives you a little hint silent that says your respawn loadout has been saved. And yeah, so... Oh, I do. Okay, good. I actually left this bit of code in. This shouldn't be here. This actually gets your entire loadout, including all of your inventory, and puts it into the saved loadout. Oh, I just set that as the variable. Okay. So these variables are set to specific objects, and this is all client. I think this is all client side too. Your profile namespace is also client side. If I was doing a harder tutorial, I would do I would go into the differences between client and server. You don't necessarily need to do that right now, but there are a couple of things in your init you want to make sure that only the server is running. And like, okay, give random license is within dumbshit.sqf. And give random, okay, yeah, that's just set plate number. Set plate number, if we go back to the Bicky, set plate number. This command is performed where the argument is a remote. The plate will change, the get plate number will also return a new value until the vehicle owner sync it back to the original about 10 seconds after. So if, okay, vehicles are weird because whoever's driving the vehicle is like, the server says, okay, the vehicle is under your control now, and actually like gives them all of the... You would think that vehicles would be tracked by the server, but they're actually tracked by whoever's the client, of whoever's in the driver's seat. It's a weird idiosyncrasy about Arma that you just kind of have to learn as you go, or Google your problems, and someone will mention like, oh, hey, by the way, your vehicle is local to the client of the driver. So this this particular thing needs to be that code needs to be called on whoever currently owns the vehicle in order for it to propagate to the rest of the network. At the beginning of the mission, when this gets called, so this is your init, you include all these files, and then if it is the server where the cars are currently local because they don't have a driver yet, I call the give random license so that they change their plates to one of the random things within the dumb shit category here. So yeah, if you are doing little things in your init.sqf, keep in mind that there's this larger thing called locality, and you have to figure out which client things are on. Ask me if you have to. I'm not 100%. I don't think anybody is 100%. Like, even the people at Bohemia Interactive, I don't think even like their top designers know every single little bit and where it's localized and all of that, but the Bicky's pretty comprehensive. So yeah, not a terrible idea to ask others if they have any ideas of where things need to be localized to. And keep in mind that your init.sqf runs on everybody. It runs on the server and all of the clients. So for some things, like if you want to have the server set, there's a couple of things you want to make sure that you have the if is server then before you do them so that they only run on the server. Like, for example, if you wanted to have after 30 minutes, so we're getting into topics that I shouldn't get into yet, but let's say you wanted to do something after 30 minutes. First, you want to spawn it. There are two ways to make a function work, and this is, if you've done coding, you understand what this means. If you haven't done coding, then don't worry about it. There are functions. So shorter hint is a function. If I call shorter hint somewhere else, I can have it work. The shorter hints function is defined here. It is just a variable name, so you can just type literally anything here, and if you put equals and some curly brackets around it, that is a new function. If you want to call that function later, you can then say call type literally anything here, and you have called that function. Currently it does nothing, so it won't do anything. But say you want to, you know, if you want to do something 3 times, you can define it once, so put it in there, and then just call it 3 times instead of taking, you know, we can just say there's some monstrous amount of code here. So say you've got code that like spawns some people down the street, but you want that to happen 3 times. You would probably want to have the, you know, spawn people down the street code defined once, and then so you don't have to say do that 3 times, because that would take a whole lot of room. So if you noticed, I had this. That's just your parameters. If you don't want to pass any parameters into the function, parameters are a whole different thing, but sometimes you'll want, okay, so if you notice up here, shorter hand, for fuck's sake.